Different. Will Hero advance to another foreign European tournament victory?
Guess we're about to find out. We are in the game, ladies and gentlemen, and this is, of course, the Antigua Shipyard. My pleasure to introduce your first contestant in this best of 3 round of 8 series between this guy right here. He's playing Protoss in the blue trunks to the south of this particular map. He is from Team Liquid. He is Liquid Hero. And his opponent also hailing from South Korea, the Korean team of TSL, the GSL Super Cup champion, Super Tournament. He was able to overcome all odds in that one and is playing very well in this particular tournament as well, looking very strong going into the round of 8. He is in the red trunks playing Terran to the north. It is TSL Polt.
And this, I don't even have words to describe this series, TotalBiscuit. Liquid Hero, we have seen so many fantastic series with him against Puma in every foreign tournament, DreamHack, NASL, and we're now going to have Hero versus Polt, which is almost the same to me, TotalBiscuit. It's going to be a fantastic series. Liquid Hero is such a fast player. His control is just... It doesn't even make sense. The things he does and the things he achieves with the units he has, I don't understand how his Warp Prism usage with High Templarian. Hero was actually the player that, I don't know if this is correct or not, but for me personally, was the first person I saw use Warp Prism and with the High Templarian side, flying them in, then storming from it. And seeing that, I was like, oh my god, it's the shuttle, it's back from StarCraft 1, you know, bringing in the Reavers into play, and it really was a pleasure to see that. It really, really was. Yeah,
it's a really good idea as well in StarCraft 2. Simply the vulnerability, of course, this was the case in, and it's the fact that you can protect High Templar against EMP, you can protect them against Ghost, you can also, of course, protect them against Snipe. So the storm is pretty much guaranteed to happen unless the Warp Prism gets shot down.
And so far we do have Hero skipping everything, Tech, Zealot, straight for the Nexus. So, and as well, within this series, it's both these players know each other, they're both Korean, they have the Korean style of play compared to European aggressive, well, actually Protoss passive European style, and so on. So there's a lot of different styles spread across the different servers, of course, because they're constricted within their regions to play similar. So now we're having Korean versus Korean. This is where the skill just jumps up a little bit higher, and we will see this slower, macro-focused play by both players. And Hero, against a regular Terran player from North America or Europe, probably wouldn't have done this. Probably would have just been, all right, whatever, I'm just going to outplay him later on. And then take the disadvantage now and claim it back later. But against a player of Polt who will not make mistakes compared to the lower quality of Terran foreigners, Hero has to do stuff like this to keep up.
Yes, he does, and it's been a good start for him so far. There's, needless to say, been no pressure. Polt has also gone with a gasless expansion on 1 barracks into 2 more behind it, and then finally taking the refinery. Really rely on Marines, but he doesn't really have much of a harassment opportunity just yet. And interestingly enough, what you usually see when you see Nexus first is double gateway, but Hero actually only puts down 1.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 1 gate into the Nexus, and he could throw down additional gateway. It really does depend on his plan now. Does he throw down tech and then take a gas? Does he throw down additional gateways? And we actually could see like 3 gateways come from this as well, and then just go for like, bam, attack Polt, because he's only going to have a limited amount of units. And we do see the 3 gateways actually come down here, so Hero has a probe on high ground to the left-hand side of this map, could build a pylon here and reinforce from this location, and then could maybe move the probe out again and reinforce from the next high ground. So we'll see, but there is pressure coming from this. It's not an all-in or anything like that. It is pressure. He does slow his tech down a little bit while doing it, but because he hasn't invested that much into this, doesn't throw down like 5 more gateways or something, and he is taking a second gas at the same time, he can easily tech up while doing this aggression.
Yes, he can, and things are looking fairly rosy for him at the moment. As a direct result of that, needs to make sure he doesn't get caught out of position and loses the Zealot in the process. The Marines getting very aggressive there by Polt. Good control from both players, and I like the fact that Polt baits Hero out of position. He gets another salvo. In fact, Hero's taking quite a lot of damage, and that Stalker is going to be forced to back off, and as I said, did also lose the Zealot. So not an ideal start there for Hero, but nothing too disastrous either. And in the meantime, got a factory coming up right here for Polt.
Yeah, we do have the factory playing a pretty standard style. It's a little bit different, and maybe Hero's reading into the game. If you compare Polt versus Bling, where Polt did this and then went for, well, he went for the 2 barracks, but he used 2 barracks, then tech, rather than 3, which we're seeing here. But there's a lot of units behind this with the supply depot wall as well. I think Hero's investing a little bit into this, which I don't think he'll reap the benefits from. So he warps in his other round of Zealots. He's going to go for it, but I think Polt's going to be fine. He will have reaction time to pull and repair the bunker if need be, but we'll see if Hero can achieve anything here. It doesn't look like it's going to be that good.
He does have a lot of force field, so he may be able to prevent the repair on the bunker, but even then he's probably going to take a lot of damage. There are a lot of units out for Polt. Army supply size, Polt's actually got not only the defensive home ground advantage, but also a larger army, so things might get a little bit messy. He pokes it once again, and I have to wonder if Hero will even bother. Maybe trying to bait his opponent out away from the defensive line, and caught out, and Polt easily annihilates that Stalker quite nicely. Another round of units coming in, so Hero's going to persist with this aggression.
And he poked up the Stalker and was like, all right, I'm just going to build another gas. I'm going to get my upgrades because I can't attack up there. But then as soon as the units moved down, he walked in more units and was like, all right, yeah, maybe I can trap him here. But then it didn't work once again. Hero's sitting out there waiting to trap because he has a lot of force fields, as you said. But Polt isn't moving out until the medivacs are there, which they've only just started construction. Meanwhile, we do have the Twilight Council finishing up. He can go straight into +2 armor from here, an additional couple of gateways as well. So he's going to a total of 6 gateways with Zealot Charge, which is an interesting little play here, and it is definitely more of a trap play than anything else. Because Polt, it depends on if he moves out with everything and these 2 medivacs. The medivacs, they can help him escape, but only with 16 of those units, and if he includes Marauders, then it's obviously not as many. But he is returning home now, realizing that Zealot's Charge is not ready. He sees him coming now, but there's so many Marines here that this kind of style, this play from Hero is not going to be as effective because Marines will do so much damage to the Zealots. Yeah,
Polt's also posting out with a combat shield timing here. It's going to kick in just as soon as he actually gets there. We'll be able to start working his way through these rocks, and great, that's absolutely fantastic. Exploit the vulnerability later on of a Protoss on 3 bases. And there's nothing really to stop him from doing that at the moment. Hero's army, it looks smaller, but it's not that much smaller. Archon's coming in as well. Charger's also about to finish, and that could really swing this fight in the favor of Liquid Hero, especially if he nails those force fields.
And the scan does land down on the natural. He sees what is there. He's going to go for it anyway. He can always pick up, on the force fields or above the other side of the force fields. There's nothing here for Hero to actually kill the medivacs, so it could get rather difficult here, especially with the Marine count. The Ghost Academy, of course, has been thrown down now, having seen the Templar Archives and the route that Hero has decided to take here. A second forge as well. +2 armor, only halfway from being completed. No upgrades yet from Polt, and he will be throwing down the second engineering base shortly so we can continue with those, especially upon seeing that forge building, the second forge that is, on the natural. So third base for Polt also accomplished, and he will be trying to take that soon. And as you can see, High Templar positioned just to prevent any drop plays and so on. But yeah, he's going to move out now.
Always good to do that, and Hero tends to nail that as well. It's great. The longer that these medivacs hang around, the much more energy they get, the more vulnerable they become to that potential attack. And Polt's managed to pick up a pylon quite nicely here, which is ideal. The pylon shouldn't have seen, I don't think, the orbital command either from that distance. So that's always nice just to deny a little bit of information to Hero. Hero playing fairly passively. What real choice does he have at the moment? Pushing out just isn't an option for him, and breaking down those back rocks has opened up a possibility for harassment later on. The Ghost Count's also starting to get a bit scary. 4 in progress, and Mobius reactor upgrade coming available for that as well. These Archons will eventually kill this factory. It's taken them quite some time, but actually never mind, it's going to live as Polt controls the high ground, the Zelnaga watchtower.
Yeah, Polt doesn't want to take a fight. That's why he backed off there. Even if he wanted to prevent the Nexus from going down, he can't take a fight till Ghosts actually come into play. And as you said, they are coming out now. They did not, well, they didn't have the energy actually. No, they did have the upgrade. So they do have the upgrade for the energy. And so they have EMPs each. So that's 4 Ghosts, 4 EMPs available. Storm has not been researched yet here at all. So he's going to have to morph to Archons with these high tempo. I guess he can feed back the medivacs as they do have a lot of energy because they haven't been used all game long. So I guess that's why he's leaving them there. But we do have a little steady march towards this left-hand side. Once again, we do have Hero looking for a bit of an engagement, but I don't think he can take one if Polt is in a defensive posture.
It would make things awkward, especially in that limited fighting space. Could be problematic for Zealot's army supply is definitely in favor of Polt. A good 20 ahead in that respect. And they do have this is a real lack of AoE here. He's got Archons, but as you said, no Storm, and there's only a couple of Archons. They will die fairly quickly. Chargelets are very effective, certainly, but with that many EMPs and a decent number of medivacs, I don't really think that that is wise. And Hero realizes that as well. He's taken the center position, so at least he's got a good amount of visibility and warning. Polt's going to have a look and get a good idea of the army composition. Doesn't see the Templar at the back, but he'll have a good idea that there'll be a few coming along.
We do have a double drop coming by TSL Polt. It will be spotted, but the question is, does Hero have money to warp in? 2 feedbacks, or more feedbacks are even usable here, but there's not enough energy on these medivacs for him to kill them instantly, so he's going to have to warp in units to defend this. Yeah,
in fact, Polt's actually going to just move away because he's immediately morphing an Archon in there. He's going to drop from the other side just to pick off that probe. And the problem is that once the energy's gone, and especially with the medivacs being that low, the risk is that Stalkers get warped in and the medivacs get picked off, and then there's no way out.
And we do see the Colossus switch happening now, and I wouldn't be surprised if Hero threw down a second robotics facility to really emphasize that switch, especially with the upgrade advantage and the lack of upgrades and Vikings out for Polt. And he does scan in the middle, potentially looking for engagement. He's got a lot of ghosts here. That's 9 ghosts in total. So many EMPs are available for Polt here. He stims Marauders to the middle to take the Zelnok Tower. Hero in a defensive stance right now, realizing that there's so many EMPs here. He needs to bring the Colossus into the fray. Chrono boosting out. Thermal Lance really does need Colossus there. That would change everything.
The problem is he's only going to hit 2. He's pretty much capped out in supply. He may decide to even kill off a probe here and there or just sacrifice some chargelets. Both of these guys want very high worker counts, and that could make the difference here. There's not a lot of area effect against all of those Marines. You've got a couple of Archons there, you've got no Storm, a couple of Colossi, perhaps not quite enough. Polt trying to exploit the fact that this back set of rocks has gone down, and still maybe looking to try and get in there, and there's nothing he can really do. There's no chance of really dropping through that. There is a pickup once again from Polt with these injured medivacs, but here comes the charge.
Not sure if this is good TotalBiscuit because of EMP.
Yeah, it could be, assuming he lands them. The ghosts are currently at the back at the moment. Minimal damage has been taken. A good step forward there by Polt trying to bait him into a really good concave. Down goes the cloak. The scan as well. There is actually no observer out to deal with that, and Hero's taking a pounding. The engagement he takes there, the force fields are really good. Let's see how much damage the Chargeless can do. They smash their way through. These ghosts are absolutely invisible at present, but they are getting hit by the AoE splash of the Colossi, who remain alive. That's a good surround here by Polt. Does he have the unit count for it? The Archons come through with great vengeance and crush their way through the remainder of that army. The ghosts are still working on that Colossus. There's a sentry block behind them, and mutually assured destruction for both of these players. But I've got to say, Hero did lose more.
Oh, he's losing the sentries now to the ghosts there, and just to bring in more units now. Desperately needs an observer with this
He really
army.
does. Yeah, these ghosts are having a field day right here, and finally, I almost thought there was an Aurora shut the ghost down, but whatever the case, both these guys took a lot of damage. Hero took a lot more, though, so that's something to consider. Polt has actually taken a 4th as well, but so has Hero, and he's even mining from his already. And now Hero's going to respond with Warp Prism harassment.
Hero is so lucky there that there were no Vikings. That's it. You know, he would have lost the game. And Polt now does start that Viking production a bit more rapidly this time around. Does have 4 out, 2 more coming, and another surge towards this 3rd base. And Hero has enough units that are just out of position. He cannot afford to let this Nexus be sniped.
Yeah, and the cannon goes down very, very quickly. Pylon's going down, and EMP is a good one as well, doing some damage. Not as good as it could have been, but reasonable enough. There are more EMPs available, and this army front, wow, Hero's army trying to reposition itself just to get the Archons at the front, and in doing so takes a lot more fire. Big warp in here from Hero. Where is the AoE? Their answer is there simply isn't any at the moment. Storm is done. He needs to bring AoE into play and get some good storms, and that's a quick split from Polt, but it's nowhere near quick enough. Polt's army gets ripped to shreds. Does Hero have what he needs to throw the rest of this back? It's pretty desperate fighting here by Hero.
Indeed it is, and Hero really suffering with not having +3 attack here. Will manage to push this off, but reinforcements come down here, and Hero's on the back foot. If he loses his position, that would be over, and Polt has enough. He has enough medivacs as well to heal everything.
He really does, yeah. There's no storms available anymore, and Hero's third base is looking to get crushed here. Polt 180 supply, 94 for Hero. Pros being pulled off the line and gunned down without mercy over there. I don't believe the Warp Prism even came into play at any point. He was so desperate to warp in everything here to keep things going.
Such a delicate game by both of these players, slow and steady and very accurate with every single move they make, but Hero's lost his base. He does have another base in Chrono Boosting probes out from it. A Warp Prism has been idle at the north, but it hasn't done anything here. I mean, it's sitting there, it could go into warping, but it's just, Hero's so occupied with so many different actions, so many different thoughts, and he's on the edge of losing his natural as well.
Yeah, it's also the point that he can't afford to warp in anything. He needs to warp in everything that is natural to hold. Polt's army is much, much larger, and he's now gone through to Archons as well. Once again, kind of lacking the splash here, and there, finally, he brings it in. Does some good damage to 2 of those medivacs, brings them down. Another pretty decent storm. Polt splits immediately to minimize the damage, though, and Polt's army just isn't going down. He is reinforcing consistently from the back.
Yeah, and it really did come down to those EMPs, the snipes from the ghost, lack of observers, but it looks like Hero will hold off one more time.
Oh
there
my.
is a Viking drop to the top right, gonna pick off this expansion. The pylon, well, there is another one at the north, but as you said, there's no money to even warp in units.
Yeah, there isn't. And Polt's sitting on a trust fund, and there's the GG.